With just over an hour left until he arrived home, Stanley stopped at his favorite diner for a milkshake in Worcester. He knew Emily loved the shakes too. He planned to bring her one. Stanley parked his car and entered the diner. He walked up the counter and pressed the bell for service. A beautiful teenage-looking waitress appeared with plates in hand. She said hello. "Hi, for here or to go?" "To go?" The waitress smiled and responded, "I'll be with you shortly. Do you know what you want?" She placed the hot meals in front of two girthy, very hungry truckers. "You guys need anything else?" One of the truckers spoke up. "Your name and phone number and 20 minutes. Both of the men laughed. "Between the two of you, neither of you is man enough for me. Make a realistic request, leave a nice tip, and be on your way. Okay, Studley?" She looked at each of them seriously and then smiled. They both laughed and shook their heads. The second of the two men seated together chimed in, "You're all right with me." The waitress walked behind the counter and looked at Stanley. "I want 2 homemade shakes, 1 chocolate and 1 half chocolate, half vanilla." "Tony, 2 sugar babies, 1 creamy mocha and 1 heavenly desire." "Anything else, Mr. Suit?" Stanley smiled. "That'll do it." "Well, that's $8.25. Stanley sat at the counter waiting for his 2 sugar babies. The bell above the diner door chimed and another patron entered. Stanley's back was to the door when a rush of air came in. He smelled the patron long before he saw the patron. A rancid smell filled the diner. The new patron passed several available seats, tables, and booths and chose it next to Stanley. Stanley could barely even freely breathe. He was in a negative olfactory sensory overload. The new patron, the diner's bum, started a conversation without provocation. "You've angered an old spirit with a black heart. Your son has moved on. Your daughter will never see your likeness. Your mother-in-law and mother will bury you. Your twins will mourn you. And your murderous lover is dying in a sterile hospital room. Call her now if you want to hear her voice one last time before she dies a slow, pain-filled death." As quickly as the rancid smell entered the diner with the patron, it followed him out. He walked over to his spot and with his back against the wall, slid down until he was again seated in a seemingly uncomfortable position on the ground. What Emily was learning, and the crazy bum already knew, was that in the presence of a true witch, his yellow-eyed senses could see clearly, and he had clarity of mind that lingered after being in the presence of such a person. The bum's story was a special one. Stanley did not know how to respond. He saw the bum slide down the window back onto the ground. He looked over his shoulder at the other patrons to see if they saw, heard, or even smelled what he had. Surely someone else did. The truckers finished up their meal and prepared to leave a substantial tip along with their phone numbers. The waitress walked up front with 2 sugar babies and 16-ounce to-go cups. "Well, Mr. Suit, good luck. Come see us again." Stanley walked out, the door closed behind him. He looked over at the bum who appeared to be looking directly in his direction and straight toward him and straight through him. The bum then repositioned his head forward and started talking to himself. Stanley pulled away. His thoughts were cloudy. He began to think to himself, "This is strange and slightly upsetting. How can this clearly crazy man know anything about me or my family? He seems to know things about me, but I've never met him before. Could he be a seer of some sort?" Stanley lost his desire for his creamy mocha sugar baby and put it in the console's cup holder. He was 1 mile into his final 114-mile drive home and decided to give Ellen a call. Using his car's Bluetooth hands-free calling, he heard the phone ringing through his speakers. The phone rang 3 times before it was answered. A voice unfamiliar to Stanley, not belonging to Ellen, answered. Hello? A nurse spoke to him. Hi, you've reached Ellen's phone. How can I help you? Are you a family member? No, yes, I am a family member. You can help me by telling me who you are. Then tell me why you have Ellen's personal phone. Is Ellen there? Put her on the phone. Sir, please calm down and lower your tone. Please lower your voice. I've answered this call and all calls on this phone at Ellen's request. Are you Stanley? Yes, I am. I'm a nurse at University Treatment Center. I work in the Infectious Disease Center. Mrs. Marshall is here and has a bleak expectancy. She is coherent now and asks that you come see her before she dies. Stanley's heart sank. What he heard spoken so indifferently could not really be possible. I saw and spoke with Ellen just over an hour ago. Everything was okay. The twins were okay. Dolores was okay. Ellen was okay. Stanley paused and fidgeted with the phone to verify he dialed the right number as he wrestled to make sense of the call. Are you sure we're speaking of the right person? I'm not able to discuss anything further over the phone. Ellen asked that you be by her side and that you follow the instructions she left in the letter she was able to write for the care of the twins. Okay? Stanley turned the car around. He struggled with whether he should call Emily and what he would tell her. It had been from October the 17th to October the 24th, 7 days since he had been home. He was prepared to tell Emily that between the loss of his son and daughter, that he threw himself into his work. He was also going to say that he had now given himself enough time to calm down and to begin to make sense of what had transpired. Stanley decided to call. Hello honey, how are you? I'm a bit sore, depressed and anxious. Where have you been? I know it's been hard for you, love. It's difficult for me too. I took some time to make sense of how my whole life has been unraveling. I then did some work to distract myself. I understand. I just wish we could talk more. I would like for us to communicate more in person and less over the phone, or never by phone or never by letter. You remain frequently. I get jealous. Once I imagined that you were in love with someone else. I know this is silly. You absolutely loved our son and you loved me. He meant so much to you. He meant so much to us. You would never do anything like that. You're right. I am hurting. Losing him was like losing a part of me. Oh, really? I often hear people say that. Losing Donna was like losing which part? There was an awkward pause. My heart. Suddenly, Stanley began to feel an unusual pressure on his heart. He had never experienced anything like it before. It was excruciating. He manically gripped the steering wheel and immediately pulled over in order to prevent a major accident or injury. Come home soon. Take more time if you need to. I will either be home or at the hospital with Mom and the baby. She's a fighter. I want you here. I want you whole. Any idea of how much more time you'll need? Baby? Yes, baby. She survived and is in NICU. I'm a father. How is she? It's difficult to say. Come home soon. I will. I'll be home in 2 or 3 days. I'll bring your favorite sugar baby when I come. I love those. The half vanilla, half chocolate one is my favorite. I know, honey. It's called Heavenly Desire. Emily smiled and responded, you remembered. Stanley hung up and hurried back to Portland on I-495. He speedily started on the 2.5-hour drive to find Emily at the local hospital. Emily was also on her way to the hospital in Hartford, Connecticut to see her mother and daughter.